Hello, people. Welcome back to Molecular Biology and Biotechnology with Lucy here. And this is a channel where we look at everything from our lifestyle to our health through a biological and a biotechnological lens. We talk about this career. We talk about our health issues. We talk about diagnostic issues. We talk about biotechnological advancement, among others. And if that is content that is relevant for you, you could be a student, a researcher, a lecturer, or you just want to learn biology and biotechnology. So karibuni sana. If you have not subscribed, please remember to hit that subscribe button and keep sharing, keep commenting, and keep coming back with lots and lots of people. So today we'll be looking at a rather new, or what can I call it, an emerging trend on what we call keto dieting. Keto dieting has been on the limelight for some time now, and you will agree with me that we have a lot of us looking for strategies on how to lose weight. We have many forms of diet, from intermittent fasting, detoxification strategies. We have going to the gym and doing forms of exercises, among others. And now keto diet is one of them. And you look at, is it actually a valid way of trying to lose weight? Does it actually work? Does it have any side effects? Is it something that we can actually rely on, or is just a craze that has come up? So let's dive right into it. Yeah, so keto diet, I want us to have a small review of what we call the standard diet, the balanced diet, and now the other adjusted forms of diets. That is, for example, keto diet, intermittent, vegan diet, among others. So when you talk about standard diet, it is that diet in layman's language which we find ourselves eating on a normal day-to-day basis. And usually it will consist of the highest percentage of carbohydrates, 45 to 65%. That is the rice, the potatoes, the bread, pasta. And then it is going to be followed by fats, that is animal fats, oils. And then we will have also a huge percentage of proteins. Then usually we will also have some vegetables and some fruits. And most of the time, particularly here in Africa and actually across the world, this is one of the most reduced portions of our diet, which is a very negative situation, because we should actually have it as the most. When we look at now, what do we call a balanced diet? It should have about 40% of fruits and vegetables. And you can tell that in this case, in our standard diet, it is actually one of the least eaten. You can even go a day without any fruit. You can go a day without any vegetables, which is not good. So balanced diet, we have a 40% of fruits and vegetables. Then we have carbohydrates around 25%, proteins around 25%. And usually most people avoid fats. Fats are comprised of around 10%, because we also have this notion that if you eat a lot of fatty diet, then you're going to gain a lot of weight, which is not scientifically true, because that's actually now what is happening when we come to the reverse of this adjusted ketogenic or keto diet. In this case, we usually have 70 to 80%, or we can say beyond 60 or 55% and above of fat as your portion in that plate. So it is a high fat diet, and then it has a low protein around 20 to 25%, and the least portion of this food or this diet is carbohydrates, 5 to 10%. So ketogenic diet, we have said, essentially high fats, moderate proteins, and very low carbohydrates. So ketogenic diet is not particularly new. It was coined by Russell Wilder in around 1920s, and he was using it to treat epilepsy, particularly in pediatrics or in children. And today, it is a relatively new concept in terms of rapid weight loss, and it has been shown to have effectiveness actually. Although as at now, we only have its effectiveness evaluated at least in a short run, which we'll be looking at. It is between, like 1 to 2 years. We don't know what will happen after 2 years of being on keto diet. There hasn't been so much research that has been done on the same. So usually this is the normal metabolic pathway in our body tissues. So we have carbohydrates as the primary source of energy. Carbohydrates are usually our main source of energy. Now, when you deprive your body of carbohydrates, that is, you take, let's say, less than 50 grams in a day, you will have what we call reduced insulin secretion, because insulin is supposed to reduce the amount of glucose in your body, which is generated from carbohydrates. But at this time now, we are seeing you have reduced your carbs intake, so insulin is reduced, and the body enters what we call a catabolic state. And catabolic now means we are going to be breaking down larger molecules like glycogen into smaller molecules so that it can have an internal mechanism of producing glucose. So glycogen stores will therefore be depleted because we are now breaking down glycogen and we are forcing the body to go through certain metabolic changes. So we are changing the metabolic pathways of our bodies. So the two metabolic processes in this state of low carbohydrate availability is what we call gluconeogenesis and ketogenesis. So gluconeogenesis, genesis means to manufacture, to synthesize, is an endogenous or within the system production of glucose in the body. And this will happen particularly in the liver from lactic acid, glycerol, and amino acids, alanine and glutamine. So the body will try to generate glucose from these products. Now, if you now continue, we have said you have started on keto diet and now you continue taking extremely low levels of carbohydrates, then what is going to happen is that the endogenous production of glucose that we have seen in this gluconeogenesis is not able to provide sufficient energy needs for your body. And therefore, we go to another metabolic pathway, which we call now ketogenesis. And it begins to provide an alternative source of energy, which we call ketone bodies. So during this ketogenesis, where now we are seeing we have low blood glucose, it's a feedback mechanism. We are going to be having what we call the stimulus for insulin secretion is extremely low at this point, and this sharply reduces the stimulus for fat and glucose storage. So what we are saying is we will have reduction of storage of fat and glucose within your tissues. And that means we are using the fats and the glucose already. And therefore, if they are not stored as much, then it means that it can be a source of weight loss management. And then in addition to that, also, we will have other hormonal changes that are going to occur, and they're going to contribute to also an increased breakdown of fats to result to fatty acids, which are then metabolized to what we call acetoacetate, and then they'll finally be converted to beta hydroxybutyrate and acetone. Now, these are what we call now ketone bodies or elements. And these ones will accumulate in the body as a ketogenic diet is sustained. So the more you go taking on a keto diet, we are going to be accumulating these ketogenic bodies or ketone bodies. And this is now what we say you have already adjusted your metabolic state into what we call nutritional ketosis. So it is ketosis, production of ketone bodies because of an influence on your nutrition or diet. So now, as long as your body is deprived of now the carbohydrates, as we have been mentioning, the metabolism remains in the ketotic state. So it can remain like that for as long as you have reduction of carbohydrates. So ketone bodies usually now are going to be utilized for the energy production. They are well utilized by the heart, the muscle tissues, the kidneys, and they are good also because they can cross the blood-brain barrier, meaning they can go to your brain and also provide energy. The only organs that are not able to utilize this form of energy is the RBCs, the red blood cells, and the liver, because the RBCs do not have mitochondria and the liver does not have enzyme, therefore is. Now, ketone bodies, we can say, have been called super fuel because essentially they actually produce more ATP as compared to glucose. And this is the example. If you have 100 of acetoacetate, it will generate for us around 9,400 grams of ATP, and 100 grams of beta hydroxybutyrate will yield for us 10,500 grams of ATP. And those are 2 ketone bodies. Now, glucose alone, that is when it is just 100 grams of glucose, usually will produce 8,700 grams of ATP. So you can see that ATP from glucose is much less as compared to ketone bodies. So your body, if you're on keto diet, actually will still be having a sufficient, even more energy for your muscles and your body tissues. So this, of course, allows the body to maintain an efficient fuel production when you're having the caloric deficit. That is, you're having a low carbohydrate diet. So now, in essentially, we can summarize that this nutritional ketosis state is considered quite safe because it will not alter our pH. And like I had said, it has good weight loss management, but up to 2 years. Not so much research has been done for beyond 2 years. So as we go on, I believe that we are going to be having more research. As people get into this form of dieting, I'm sure we are going to be having more research that will provide more information on what are the long-term effects on our health, on our weight loss journeys, etc. Of course, every method of adjustment of our diet from the balanced diet will have its effects or side effects. So we have short-term that are considered to be minor, like nausea, vomiting, headache, fatigue, dizziness, sometimes insomnia, difficulty in exercise tolerance, constipation, and usually this is what we call keto flu. Long-term effects, we said, have not been very well studied, but we have indications of hepatic steatosis, hypoproteinemia, and then we have kidney stones, vitamin and mineral deficiencies, because you see you're not taking enough vegetables, vitamins, and therefore you have mineral and vitamin deficiencies. Now, keto diet is also indicated in other medical conditions, and this means it can actually form another form of therapy in type 2 diabetes, in neurological disorders. We talked about epilepsy. It has also been shown to be effective in Alzheimer's disease, ALS, autism, migraine headaches, neurotrauma, pain, Parkinson's disease, and even some sleeping disorders. And again, also, it can be used in cancer. It is said to be an antioxidant. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of keto diet, but essentially, it can actually help us in weight loss. But there isn't so much research on what are the long-term effects. So I would urge, as we go into it, let's go into it a little bit more carefully. Let's read a lot so that we have informed decisions when it comes to the choice of our weight loss journey. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, guys, and see you.